Tolerate being in class. Okay. Thank you. So today is a very important day in the Vaishnav on the Vaishnav calendar. It is the glorious commemoration of the disappearance day of Sripad Ramanujacharya. So, there's very interesting stories that I'm going to tell about him today. Let me just make sure that everything is online properly. Big turnout today. Anyway, at least we got many, many people online. That's all right. And so, as we normally do, as everybody knows, before speaking about these great personalities, we chant these prayers. The prayers are called the Saparshana Gora Viraha Vilapa, which we also chanted last night for Sripad Madhvacharya. And today we're going to chant them for Sripad Ramanujacharya. Jai Anila Premadana Korana Prachur Eno Prabhu Kota Ngela Acharya Thakur Ahamora Sarupa Rupa Kasanataka Nadasa Raghunatha Patita Pava Ahamora Bhatta Juga Kakavira Ekakale Kotagela Goranatara Pashane Kutivo Mata Anale Pasipo Goranga Guneraneti Kotagele Mabo Se Sabah Sangira Sange Ye Koila Vela Se Sangana Paya Kande Naro Tamotakas Yayanila Premadana Corona Prachu Jaya Jaya Thakur 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravaticharya Ultrateta Sadashi Shimad His Divine Grace Sabaya Chananada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gajai Shishi Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Jagannath Swami Kijai Yamunamai Kijai Shimati Lasi Devi Kijai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Kijai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budle Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deja Tarane. Okay, let's read the translation here. Here brought the treasure of divine love, and it was filled with compassion and mercy. Where is such a personality of as Srinivasa Acharya gone? Where's Marup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna's Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Be not able to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Miditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So today is the commemoration of the disappearance day of Sripad Ramanujacharya, who is the head of one of the other four sampradayas. And he's the head of the Sri Sampradaya. Sampradaya means disciplic succession, and one must accept information from disciplic succession unless one wants bad information, faulty information. So there are four disciplic successions, like we mentioned yesterday. There's the Lakshmi Sampradaya, there's the Brahma Sampradaya, there's the Kumara Sampradaya, and the Lord Shiva or Rudra Sampradaya. So we are members of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, which we mentioned yesterday, and many people are members of the Sri Sampradaya or Lakshmi Sampradaya, and that Lakshmi Sampradaya is very prominent in South India, particularly when you go to places like Tirupati, Srirangam, Kanchipuram, especially in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. This Lakshmi Sampradaya is very prominent, and in fact, in Srirangam, you have the transcendental body of Ramanujacharya that is preserved, is like mummified, and you can actually see his body today, at least the outline of his transcendental body. And It's a very amazing place, this Srirangam, if anyone gets a chance to go there. I mean, it's quite an austerity for those people who are older. But it's a beautiful temple. It's surrounded by water. It's on what we call an isthmus, which means like three sides surrounded by water. It's like almost like an island. And it's arranged in a Varnashram's way, in that the Brahmanas are closest to the temple, encircling the temple as far as their residents are concerned. And then you have the Kshatriyas, the next circle, and the Vaishyas, the next circle, and finally the Shudras, the next circle. So it's a very beautiful temple. Very nice Brahmanas like this. So the story of Sripad Ramanujacharya starts way before Ramanujacharya appeared. And it starts with these great saints in South India that are called the Alvars. And these Alvars were poets. And some of them date back to basically right after Lord Jesus Christ appeared in this world. And some of the Alvars were actually ladies, famous ladies who were like gurus for the rest of the Alvars. Anyway, these Alvars used to meet and discuss the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Particularly, they were absorbed in the pastimes of Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi. So, so the reason we're talking about that is because it leads to Ramanujacharya's advent. Now, another thing is, it's a very interesting story about how the temple in Srirangam was originally constructed. We're not going to tell the whole story, but it was a bunch of dacoits who collected the money by stopping people on the road and, basically your money or your life. It's definitely a new form of Sankirtan. So something that I don't advise devotees doing. So anyway, and also the original Vaishnavas before Ramanujacharya, they did away with the dacoits after the temple was constructed in a very interesting way, because one of the devotees, not the dacoits, but devotees, thought, we got to get rid of these dacoits because they're definitely addicted to criminal activities. So let's figure a way to get rid of them. So this one particular devotee had mystic powers. He could walk on water. And so he took all the dacoits who did not know how to swim. In India, it's interesting that very few people know how to swim, because there's this superstition in India, that people have a superstition. So what is the superstition? That their little child is going to drown. I've seen this, because I spent a lot of time in India and dealing with people from India. They're superstitious. And they're thinking, oh, my kid will drown, so therefore don't give him swimming lessons. Very intelligent. And so then what happens later on, many people drown in the rivers because they don't, the water starts rising. What am I going to do? Isn't it true? They don't know what to do. It's just like, wow. My mother threw me in the water first thing, basically. And in Fiji, it's like that too. The people from India don't know how to swim, and all the natives, they're actually expert. They're like fish in the water. So anyway, what he did, even the dacoits didn't know how to swim. So he took all these dacoits out in a boat, and he capsized the boat. Boop. And what happened is that he just walked on the water or swam or something like that, and the dacoits just drowned. Interesting story, isn't it? So that's how to build a temple in Kali Yuga. It's a famous story, actually. So, anyway, after some time, there was a need of an acharya to actually take over the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya to make sure that things didn't get polluted. So what happened is one of the previous acharyas, was named Nata Muni uh, in the year 1908 AD. He compiled the Tamil Vedas, and he compiled all these hymns of the Alvars, and he put them together so even today people sing these different songs that he compiled. He's actually one of the main acharyas. He had a son. He was married, even though he was an acharya, and his son was named Ishwar Muni. Hmm. And Ishwar Muni died at a very young age. Very, very, very young age. Right? Uh, actually, when his wife was pregnant. Hmm. Uh, so, Nata Muni, when he heard that his son had died, he naturally understood this material world is temporary, and he took sannyas. So this little boy was named Yamuna at this particular time. Yamuna. Later on became known as Yamunacharya. And he was very intelligent, grandson of Nata Muni. Okay. Very, very intelligent. And he had a guru, a spiritual master, a very nice guru, and he was very devoted to his spiritual master. I don't remember the name of his guru. But the problem was that at that time, the king of this province called Chola was taking taxes from everybody, including the Brahmins, which is prohibited. You're not supposed to tax the Brahmins. I mean, even in America, you're not supposed to tax the churches. It's a very similar type of thing. So he had a deal that you don't have to pay taxes if you have a discussion with the court guru and if you win the discussion. And if you don't win the discussion, curtains, you die. So that's like an interesting discussion, interesting debate. So what happened is his guru was getting ready to pay the taxes, and Yamunacharya, Yamuna at that time, he said, I'm not going to allow my guru to pay the taxes. This is ridiculous. I'm going to go and argue on behalf of my guru. So he goes to the king's palace and says, I'm arguing on behalf of my guru. He's a little kid, it's like 12, 15 or something like that. And the queen just like thought, oh, he's so cute. I'm going to take his side. And I'll gamble with the king. So if the king wins, the queen said, I'll become your obedient servant. If this Yamuna is defeated, then the queen will become. So obviously she wasn't his obedient servant before. It's interesting. She's unsubmissive or something. And if Yamuna wins, then he gets half the kingdom. So there was this whole discussion between Yamuna and the king's pandit. And Yamuna said to the king's pandit, you have to defeat these particular points to win the debate. You have to defeat that your mother is not barren. In other words, you have to prove your mother is barren. In other words, how can a mother be barren? You have to prove, I'm going to put it in the positive right now, the king is unrighteous. You have to prove the queen is unchaste. And you have to prove, let's see. Oh, there's three things, actually. There's 3 things. So the king's pandit couldn't do any of those things. But he said to Yamuna, you got to prove those things. And Yamuna said, I can prove it. Your mother is barren. I can prove that. Because she only had one son. According to the Vedic injunctions, a lady just has one son is barren. I can prove the king is unrighteous because he assumes the karma of the citizens. So he's unrighteous. And I can prove the queen is unchaste because she's married to the king and he's considered the representative of the demigods. In other words, she's married to all the demigods. So he won. And therefore he got the name Ala Banduru, which means he was conquered and he got half the kingdom. And getting half the kingdom he became enamored with it. Obviously, if you get half a kingdom, it's pretty cool, isn't it? So he became enamored with it. So his grandfather, remember, his grandfather was not the Mooney, his grandfather sent a disciple to rescue him. The disciple couldn't see him, but the disciple was instructed to give a particular type of spinach every day to the king's kitchen, which is Yamuna's kitchen. So every day some sort of ecstatic spinach, you know, with a different type of spinach. And the king became addicted to it. When you eat something every day, you get addicted to it. And one day he stopped providing. The king asked to see him, and then he preached to the king Yamuna, and Yamuna understood. No, no, I'm in the wrong position. He renounced everything. He got initiated by his grandfather, and he left the kingdom. So, anyway, so this is the background. Meantime, and I'm not going to tell the whole family history of Ramanuja or Ramanuja Charya. Ramanuja was born in 1017, and he was given the name Ramanuja, which means Lakshman. He's considered to be an incarnation of Lakshman, who is Lord Ramchandra's associate. And he was born in a place called Kanchi, which is not that far away. Actually, it's pretty far away from Srirangam, several hours by car. So it is some distance. So this Ramanuja, as he grew up, he started to associate with one of the disciples of Yamuna, or Yamunacharya, as he was known at that time. He started to associate with him, but the disciple was a non-Brahmin disciple. And so Yamunacharya, Ramanuja, understood that it didn't matter, kiva vipra, kiva nyashi, shudra kena. No, it didn't matter whether one was a shudra or vaishya, whatever, by birth. If he was a devotee, ye Krishna Tattva Veta say Guru Hoy, you should accept this association. So remember that. He was associating with a non-Brahmin disciple of Yamunacharya. So Ramanujacharya got married at 16. His father died shortly after that. And Ramanujacharya accepted a guru named Yadava Prakash, who was also an impersonalist, like the guru of Madhvacharya that we discussed before. So one day he was massaging his guru, and his guru was giving a commentary from the Chandogya Upanishad, and he was talking about how Krishna's eyes are as red as a monkey's behind, which is a great offense. And Ramanuja says, "You're wrong, Guru Maharaj." Actually, the Chandogya Upanishad describes that Krishna's eyes are as red as a lotus flower. And he defeated his guru, and he defeated his guru a second time when he told his guru that Brahman is incapable of being covered by illusion. So the guru was upset. Guru thought, got to kill the guy. So, but if I'm going to kill my disciple, I don't want to suffer the reactions for it. So the method of killing someone is you take him to the Ganges, you kill the person, then you go bathing in the Ganges. Of course, we have Tulsi Devi. We can do the same thing with Tulsi Devi, Yani Kani Chapapani, Pramahachari Kanicha. So he planned to have a whole excursion with all his disciples to the Ganges. So they went to the Ganges, and Ramanuja's brother overheard what was going to happen, and he informed Ramanuja. Ramanuja escaped, and he was guided by Lord Vishnu, who took the form of a fowler, someone who takes care of birds, and took him back to Kanchi. So when the guru came back and he found Ramanuja still there, he was just pretty upset. But he continued to associate with his guru. And then another thing happened that aggravated the guru. The king of that particular province, king of Kanchi, he had a daughter, and the daughter was haunted by a ghost, a Brahma Rakshasa ghost. And Ramanuja's guru tried to cure and get rid of the ghost. And the ghost started to laugh at Ramanuja's guru and said, I need your disciple, Ramanuja, to get rid of me. So Ramanuja got rid of him, and the guru was really upset. And then eventually Ramanuja got kicked out of his guru's ashram by describing a particular verse, Sarvakal Vidam Brahma, which means everything is Brahman. So he talked about how everything is Brahman and there's different phases of Brahman, like there's the Paramatma, Bhagavan, etc. So then Ramanuja started to serve Kanchipurna, his friend who was from a non-Brahmin family. And Ramanuja's wife was a very strict so-called Brahmin. She didn't like it. Uh, and meantime, but she was upset, but nothing happened at this juncture. So Yamunacharya, who's still alive, and he's in Srirangam, he says, I want to see Ramanuja, because he knows Ramanuja is going to be the next Acharya. And Ramanuja immediately goes to Srirangam, but he arrives there right after Yamunacharya leaves his body. And Yamunacharya, when he leaves his body, has three fingers clenched like that. I guess three fingers like that. Or three fingers. Yeah, I guess it would be like that. And nobody understood what that meant because he never had that particular, let's say, sign on his hand before. But Ramanuja understood. He said the three fingers are clenched because Yamunacharya had three aspects to his mission that he didn't carry out during his lifetime. One was teaching people in general. Second was writing a Vedanta commentary. And the third was to name one disciple after Parashara Muni. And as he said that, as Ramanuja said that, from the body of Yamunacharya, the three fingers opened up. Interesting, isn't it? So they understood that he was the next Acharya. So he goes back to Kanchi to be with his family because he doesn't want to renounce everything at this particular juncture. He has a family. So one day he invited his guru. This is a Shiksha guru, not the previous guru, Yadava Prakash. He invites his guru, who is from a non-Brahmin family, to come to dinner. So his guru, his name was Kanchi Purna, comes early. And Ramanuja's wife serves him, but throws away all the remnants because she's a real strict Brahmani. And Ramanuja comes back, and she gives the remnants to a dog or something like that. And then Ramanuja comes back, gets angry. Then another thing happens is one day, Kanchi Purna's wife, he's the non-Brahmin guru, is taking water out of a well along with Ramanuja's wife. And so as they're both taking water out of the well together, some of the water from the guru's wife's pot falls into Ramanuja's wife's pot. And Ramanuja's wife just like throws the water away. Now the water is contaminated. Hellish, isn't it? And so basically, Ramanujacharya's guru is told this by his wife, and they just leave town. This is an insult. When Ramanuja hears this, he thinks, I got to get out of here. Something similar to Prabhupada's taking sannyas. So he has a Brahmin write a trick note to his wife saying, this note is from your mother, who's in a different village. We need your help for a family marriage. Please come immediately. So the Brahmana delivers this message, and Ramanuja's wife reaches. She said, honey, I got to go to the village to take care of my family right now. And Ramanuja says, I understand, dear. I'll follow you very shortly. So she leaves, and Ramanujacharya takes sannyas. He got her out of the house. It's different than Prabhupada. In Prabhupada's situation, he left, and his wife stayed in the house. So a little bit different. And then he got the name Yati Raj. Yati means sannyasi, Raj means king. So that means king of the sannyasis. Pretty good, isn't it? And he started initiating people immediately. First, a disciple was named Dasarati, who was his cousin. And then his second disciple was named Kuresh, who had a photographic memory. The second disciple preached to Ramanuja's previous guru, Yadava Prakash. Remember the impersonalist? He preached to him, and Yadava Prakash, because of the preaching, a dream he had of Lord Vishnu, and his mother's nagging him, uh, decided to surrender to his disciple, get initiated by his disciple. And then he was given the name Govinda Gr. In other words, he was reinitiated by his disciple uh, and given a different name. Interesting, isn't it? Yadava Prakash means like the sun. So then Ramanuja left Kanchi Purna, and the deity there, the deity name was Varada Daraja, which means the wish-fulfilling deity. That's the main deity in Kanchi Purna. Kanchipuram, sorry, Kanchipuram. And he went to Sri Rangam and studied under another devotee named Mahapurna, and he was sent to learn the special mantra that could liberate you from another disciple of Yamunacharya named Goshti Purna. And so he went to this disciple, and Goshti Purna said, I'm not going to give you the mantra because it's secret, and anyone who hears it is going to get liberated. So he kept begging and begging and begging and begging and begging. And finally, this particular guru gave him the mantra. It's like Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha, the mantra. So what Ramanujacharya did, when he got this secret mantra, he went to the top of the tallest building in town and chanted the mantra. He said, everybody chant this mantra and you will get liberated. And so he did that, and the guru just like went to him and said, you're an offender, you're going to hell. And imagine being told you're going to hell by your guru. And what happened is that he said, Guru Maharaj, I'm ready to go to hell, but everybody got liberated. And his Guru Maharaj understood that you are a better devotee than me because you're willing to go to hell like Vasudev Dutt was willing to go to hell forever to save everybody, and the Guru surrendered to him. So after that, he traveled around and regulated the deity worship in different temples, especially other places, especially Jagannath Puri he went to, and he was really upset with the deity worship in Jagannath Puri because people were too spontaneous there. You know, they just offered whenever they wanted to offer, and, you know, they dressed Lord Jagannath in all these different veshas, which is not done in any other temple. I mean, one time in ISKCON, they tried to dress Radha and Krishna in the vesh of Santa Claus. So that was one temple. That's really ridiculous. But in Jagannath Puri, they do all these amazing things they don't do anywhere else in India or anywhere else, as far as I know. So Lord Jagannath got angry with him because he was disturbing his ras with his devotees. And Lord Jagannath threw him out, you know, like Ramanujacharya, just like, where have I gone? He threw him into a place known as Kurmakshetra, which is pretty close to Jagannath Puri. And when he arrived in Kurmakshetra, he was pretty upset because he thought this was a deity of Lord Shiva, but it was actually a deity of Lord Kurma. And then he became happy after seeing that. Then he wrote what's called the Sri Bhashya, which is a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra in the Lakshmi or Sri Sampradaya. Then a very, let's say, interesting, let's say, traumatic thing happened. The king of this particular province of Chola was a Shiva worshiper, and he wanted everyone to worship Lord Shiva. So he wanted to threaten Ramanujacharya. So Ramanujacharya had his disciple, Koresh, who had this photographic memory, dress as he, and he went to see the king, and he refused to accept Lord Shiva as supreme. And the king actually took out his eyes, just blinded him. Then shortly thereafter, the king died from having a cancer of the throat. He was known as Krimi Kanta, which means a worm throat. I mean, that's what happens when you get cancer of the throat. And so what happened with Koresh, he was blind at that particular point. Ramanujacharya said, you go to the deity of Radha Daraja, that's in Kanchipuram, and you beg for your sight back. So what happened is this Koresh went to the deity And instead of begging for his sight back, he went and prayed to the deity that the king would be forgiven. This is a Vaishnava. And Ramanujacharya appreciated that, but he said, your eyes belong to me, and you're meant to serve me. So go back and ask for your eyes back. So generally these pure devotees don't ask anything for themselves. It's interesting, isn't it? Like Prabhupada said that when the devotees wanted to pray for his health, Prabhupada said, you should pray, my dear Lord Krishna, if you so desire. So that's a pure devotee's prayer. So anyway, this Quresh got his eyes back. Then Ramanujacharya, so many interesting stories, had a philosophical debate with 1,000 Jains who, when they lost the debate because they didn't want to surrender, they committed suicide. There's another story, a famous story of Dhanur Das, which I like to tell. Dhanur Das was a person who was worshiping his girlfriend. He was walking backwards and fanning her with a chamra or peacock fan or something like that. And Ramanujacharya's disciples, they started laughing, and Ramanujacharya said, no, don't laugh at him. I want to find out why he's so much entranced with this girl. So he goes to this, he calls this Dhanur Das over and says, why are you just doing this? People think it's really weird. And he said, because she has beautiful eyes. And Ramanujacharya says, I can show you someone with more beautiful eyes. And this Dhanur Das thinks, wow, where's that girl? Come tonight. I'll show you. So he comes to Ramanuja, and Ramanuja takes him into the Sri Rangam temple, sees Lord Ranganath, and he falls in love with Lord Ranganath, and later on becomes married to his girlfriend. Still gets married. But as a married person, he's actually quite renounced. So much so that when Ramanujacharya wanted to show that Dhanur Das was renounced, the reason he wanted to show that Dhanur Das was renounced, because his disciples, other disciples who were brahmacharis and sannyasis, were actually criticizing Dhanur Das. They're just saying, he's a Rasta, like that you see sometimes. And so what happened is, first Ramanujacharya wanted to show how the sannyasis were not renounced, because while they were all resting, he switched their clothes at night. And when they woke up, they saw other sannyasis with their clothes, and they got angry, and there was a big fight between the sannyasis. And so the Ramanujacharya arranged that one of his disciples would steal the jewelry right from the body of Dhanur Das's wife, his previous girlfriend. And she was sleeping. They stole the jewelry, and she turned over, and they ran away out of fear. And so Dhanur Das, who was with his guru at that time, was sent back. So he went back to his wife, and he saw his wife missing half the jewelry. And he said, what happened? And she said, they were taking the jewelry, and I wanted to let them take the other half of the body's jewelry. And he chastised his wife. He said, you should have just given him everything. And when the people, the devotees or brahmacharis who were watching, or sannyasis watching through the window and saw this, they understood these were really renounced people. So Lord Jagannath also sent him to Navadvip one time, and he met Lord Chaitanya, according to the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. And he was told only to preach Dasharas. He said, later you will appear as Lord Nityananda and Antashesh. So as far as his leaving this world, actually it's interesting, I got a chance to go through most of the stories. He told his disciples, it's time for me to leave this world. One thing he did is he told them to make a deity of himself while he was still there. And he actually installed the deity of himself by himself, just like breathing on the deity. And that deity is there in the samadhi of Ramanujacharya in Sri Rangam temple. That deity is there right before Ramanuja's body that's sitting up. Sometimes you see, like if you go into the Vatican, you see these bodies of the different popes that are lying down. But this body, he's sitting up like sannyasi with a danda, the body of Ramanujacharya. And in front of him is the replica, his deity, it's a metal deity. There's a beautiful picture. I don't know if I picture it. Yeah, I did take a picture of it. I did take a picture of it. They did allow me to take a picture. And so it is deity. So anyway, so he instructed his disciples that, make this deity and you could worship this deity as myself. Like Prabhupada had us make deities right before he left the planet. I was just listening to a story that one of the final days in Vrindavan, there was a scientific conference, Bhaktivedanta Institute conference, and Prabhupada instructed the devotees. There was a bust of Prabhupada that's now in his room in Vrindavan. He instructed them to take the bust, which is just from the head up, shoulders, a little bit of the shoulders and head up, to the conference, so he would be present at the conference through his deity. Interesting story. And so he instructed his disciples to worship this deity as himself. So the disciples got 3 more days association with Ramanujacharya, and he gave them the final instructions. One is you should always serve the Vaishnavas. This is actually very interesting, like the Upadeshamrita, Nadati, Pratigranati, Guyam, Akyati, Prichati, Bhunkte, Bhojyate, Chaiva. One should uh, give gifts, accept gifts, give prasadam, accept prasadam, reveal one's mind and confidence, and hear from others. Be patient enough to hear. Most people don't want to listen or hear from others. And anyways, so these loving exchanges. The second one is have faith in the Vedas and in the devotees. Shraddha, Shabde, Vishas, Sakahe, Sudreda, Nishchaya. The third one was you should conquer lust, anger, and greed. The 3 gateways going to hell, according to Krishna and the Gita. And that's a really hard one. And the fourth one is you'd worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Of course, he was a devotee of Narayan, who is an expansion of Krishna. And then putting his head on Govinda, that's his cousin who initiated the first disciple, on Govinda's lap, he left his body in Sriranga. And so that's the story of his disappearance. As far as his teaching, he taught the philosophy called Vishishta Dvaita, which means qualified oneness. In other words, everything is one and different simultaneously. It's actually the same as Achincha Beta Beta Tattva. It's very, very similar, more similar to what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught than the teachings of Sripad Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya taught like extreme dualism. But Ramanuja taught, how everything is one, but it's qualified. It's qualified monism. In other words, Vishishta Dvaita, it's called, says even though all energies are one, they keep their individuality. It's called qualified non-dualism, qualified monism, or oneness in diversity, as Prabhupada would say, unity in diversity. Prabhupada used that expression quite often in his writings and in his lectures and letters. Unity and diversity. He used it as a instruction for the management of the society. So the GBC has to meet every year and talk about unity and diversity. And he also used it as a explanation of the philosophy of Achincha Beta Beta Tattva. Unity and diversity. Everything is part connected to Krishna. Om Purna Purnamidam, like in the Ishopanishad. Everything's a manifestation of Krishna, but comes from Krishna, but has its separate identities. So that's all we have time for today. I think we covered just about everything in this short class. And because I gave the class in this morning, I'm not going to speak about Ramanuja tonight. So we have about 1/2 of a second for. He's considered to be, Prabhupada never said yes or no, but he's considered to be an incarnation of Lakshman. Whether he's power
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindalayatam Bhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaram Nandar Takom Vidamaniya Iskeshashoba Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Argani Akasa Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Irakanti Ananda Chimaya Sadhu Dala Vikrasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Govindam Sham Tamaham Bhajami Namahom Vishnu Pataya Krishna Prastaya Putale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samanichi Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Purvani Pacha Devi Nivesesha Sunyavati Vachachade Charane Nivesesha Sunyavati Vachachade Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gadadha Sivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Gadadha Sivasati Gaurabhakta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sade Gauranga Vrinda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sade Gauranga Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Gajada Shiva Sade Gauranga Vrinda Sri Advaita Gajada Shiva Sade Gauranga Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Hare. Jaya Guru Kinana Rana Guru Kinana Rana Looking on a looking on a Friday. Jayorate, Jayorate, Jayorate. Rate, 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 Jaya Sri Ragat, hey, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Victoria, Om Vikas, His Divine Grace, by Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON founder, Srila Prabhupada, Namacharya, Seko, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha, Srivasadi Gaur, Bhakta, Vrinda Gijaya, Sri Krishna Gopada Aksai, Mukund Radha Kunda, Giddy Govardhan Kijaya, Vrindavan Kijaya, Sami Kijaya, Kimunamai Kijaya, Shimani Lasa Devi Kijaya, Veda Bhakta, Vrinda Kijaya. Gaur Premananda Haribo. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Navama. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadvati Nirvapanam Shaya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavada Jivanam Mandam Buddhivardhanam Pradivadam Pradamritaspadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Nam Apari Bodhani Visarjati Tatrapitani Matat Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Bakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdai Mami Drihani Linan Raga Trinada Peace Vinichena Rohiva Shishtuna Amanida Manadena Kirtaniya Jugaitam Pravishaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahename Ashlishyava Padav Padashtumam Darshanam Mama Takurotava Yatadava Vigratu Lampato Mat Prananatus Nusavanath Paraha. Victory of the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, as it spreads the rays of the benediction moon, is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, unless you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, invested all your transcendental energies. These are not even hard, fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and I shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He's completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my Lord. Unconditionally. Shikshashtaka. Who? No, he never had children.